Hello, guys, and welcome to a special segment of AcidCast. We are here. I am Udit Singh, and I'm joined with Soham.
Hello.
And
Yep.
and we are here to discuss about this little movie called Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And we are here to delve into spoilers completely. So you have been warned.
Yes.
All right.
This is like your last warning. 3,
Yeah.
1.
If what? Go.
Okay.
Snoke is dead.
Yeah, he is. I mean, but okay. Sticking to the point. Let's. I think we should give our audience like what Star Wars means to us. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Okay. I'll take this on. I saw Star Wars. I think it was the third part from the prequels, which I saw in theaters. After that, I've been just completely hooked on it. I saw 4, 5, 6 from then. And thereafter, Star Wars basically became a big part of my life, I can say, when it came to wallpapers or video games, even the RTS that it released. Then on to when it was announced back in 2012, like The Force Awakens, where J.J. Abrams, like a literal icon when it comes to sci-fi movies, when he took up the helm of taking the new trilogy, that was one of the more exciting moments of my life, I can say, literally. What about you, man?
You say. So you have sort of struck an emotional chord with me when you asked this question, all right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, see, because it really takes me back. I clearly remember my first moment with Star Wars. It was somewhere around in 1999, all right?
Okay.
And I think the
That's where
prequels
I
were
was
just
born.
right. That was the year the Phantom Menace was releasing.
Yep.
All right, I was, I think, 7 years old at that time, and I clearly remember. I think I got it from a school or whatever. I was handed this small booklet, all right, and the booklet had all these characters from the old Star Wars movies. It had C-3PO, it had R2-D2,
Yep.
and yes, and I remember, just turning the pages while I was munching on lace. Back then it was called Ruffles lace, by the way. So
Okay.
yeah, so I was just eating and I was munching and I'm seeing all these things that, like, for the first time in my life. I'm like, this is really interesting. I'm reading all that. I couldn't understand jack shit, by the way, but I was so enthralled by whatever I was seeing. And
Yeah, that's precisely how it was for me when I saw the movie in theaters.
right, exactly. And so this was on the way to the Phantom Menace, all right? And I loved the movie back then because I was 7 years old. I did not know any better. I enjoyed the movie completely, right? I thought Jar Jar Binks was pretty cool, right? And at that point, Star Movies had this screening going on where every week it showed one movie from the older trilogy, all right?
Okay.
And I remember for that entire month, Star Wars was my entire life. I would end the movie, the first one, and for the whole week, it would be on my mind. I would go to sleep and I would wake up, I'd be in Tatooine. Alright?
Okay.
And it just kept going further from there. Then I got in the games, then I got in the Jedi Knight game,
Yeah, the
the Star
entire
Wars
universe,
part.
it is just fabulous. Isn't it?
Yeah.
God bless
But the
George
worst part
Lucas.
was, yeah, exactly. And the thing I loved about that was when I grew older, I thought, maybe it was things of the past, right? Where certain things they don't age well, the things of childhood, and I was scared to touch Star Wars again, but because I had that whole nostalgia going for it. But then I saw it again on TV, and it still holds up so well. Every time you go up, it's such a universal movie, right?
Yeah,
It follows
it
the
has just so
Campbell-
many iconic moments that you can reimburse yourself into, like whether it be Luke or
Right,
Tatooine
and
with the two
every
suns
time
and
you
its
go,
iconic
because it
music
fall-
playing, it's just fabulous. The entire
right
moments.
and the mythology that it goes with and how relatable it still stays despite all that. The hero's journey,
Yep.
it is relatable to you at any point on any age. Every time you come back, those movies have something new to teach, so it's always fresh, and that's what it means to me.
So there you have it. Two big time nerds going to talk about Star Wars. So
It's
The
gonna
Last
be fun.
Jedi.
Yeah.
Yep. The Last Jedi, man.
Okay.
Let's start with the first half thoughts. Yeah. So first half thoughts. The beginning of the movie, fabulous. If you want to put it in one word, it was fabulous.
Yeah.
What do you think?
The whole attack scene, my god, it's
So well executed, and right from the start to the end, like to the point where Leia gets and she slaps him. Poe.
Right.
The entire sequence was fabulous, and it was a lot like how the Empire Strikes Back started. The rebellion on the run, and you've got your
right. You had those things going on.
Getting on. But this time just in space with 2017 level CGI. Fantastic.
But dude, the stakes, I mean, immediately, it's very hard to develop stakes so early on in the movie. But the moment I saw, I immediately, within few seconds, cared for everybody who was going on that mission. And, when people died, just kept dying during the attack and the way the bombs were falling. Oh, God.
The emotions were handled really well too. Like
really, again,
remote dropping, and that sequence was fantastic. Like, oh my God, that was so good.
Right. I almost thought they wouldn't make it. It's very hard to get that feeling because we've seen a lot of movies now, and we know like a person will succeed or not, right?
Yep.
But the way it's directed, right? Yeah. But the way it's directed, right, you still feel like there's that tiny ounce that maybe things will not go right.
Yep.
And you immediately see Poe's arc starting right there, that he's a hothead who is very much willing to just disobey orders.
That's a good
and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
That and his narrative
which follows what is the next scene that follows from there?
That's just basically they jump to light speed, and then you have them tracking back on the light speed with and here's where the General Hux's arc also starts. Like in The Force Awakens, he was shown as a strong-willed leader, but suddenly he just falls off beat, where he becomes kind of meekish in front of Snoke in the spaceship, that is.
Yeah, and as he starts. He's not a funny guy, but the opening scene kind of like reveals certain jokes. Right? He's like, "Am I on hold? Am I on hold? And am I on hold?" It was at some humor that reminded me of Marvel in a way, but it didn't land.
Yeah, we'll get to that point, the humor part of it.
Right.
But yeah,
right,
so
sure.
Then you've got the first half, which then moves on to the Luke and Rey on the mountain, where I think like it's just so difficult to put it in words, from this point on. That's the moment, like the point where they left it on The Force Awakens was brilliant. It just left me gasping to know what happens.
It led to so many memes.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just one. That's one point of it. But as a continuation from where they left it at The Force Awakens, where you have Luke Skywalker on the big screen again, and now with a beard on some weird mountain after being tracked down from a map somehow. And then he just flings his lightsaber, and you're like, it's something just. There's a chord that was maintained, in the last moment of The Force Awakens, and it just breaks off. Like, what happened there? Rane, what did you do? Like,
I get it.
What did you think about that scene, man?
Right, exactly. No, see, for me, the scene, I chuckled a bit because when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, he just threw it off casually. It got a laugh out of me.
Okay.
But I don't believe that was a scene that should have been played for laughs. Because that was his father's lightsaber, all right? And the last time he saw it was in Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
Right. When his hand got cut off, I'm like, doesn't he have questions like, where did he get this lightsaber? What happened to it? Right? Was his hand still attached to it? Like, what? So many things. He just throws it off. I'm like, there could have been more dramatic tension there.
Yeah, exactly. And that was supposed to be one of the more iconic moments when we think of Star Wars as it is. You've got Luke as the center stage it's basically the Skywalker saga,
Right.
And so maybe that sequence was just to more establish the idea of where they were going ahead, where they don't want Skywalker to take the main stage. I don't know, but it just did not.
Probably is.
Yeah, probably is. We'll get into the Luke part of it again later on. So, first half.
Then we move on to Kylo Ren, right?
Yep, Kylo Ren.
When they show him. But I'm just going to say, Kylo Ren's arc, by far, my favorite part in the whole movie.
Really? I would disagree a lot with that. I mean, I still find Okay, so if you want to get in the part where he's told to take his mask off and then he beats it in the elevator, again there is this like how that famous Twitter account Emo Kylo Ren has it,
Right.
To portray him as a serious villain who is now going to be the face of the dark side as it progresses in the last part of the trilogy, he does not have that iconic persona on him yet. I'm not sure.
I know. And for
that you like that's
yeah.
okay.
Yes, I will tell you why I liked. In fact, Kylo Ren, I was on his side even on Force Awakens because, and I'll come to that right now because
Go on.
Star Wars has this huge thing where you have by far one of the most iconic villains, Darth Vader. All right. And any villain who's going to come and take his place is immediately going to be held to that standard.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it right away. By just trying to make a person more badass than Darth Vader, you're not going to surpass Darth Vader. That's never going to happen. All right?
Yeah.
You're never going to make someone. Yeah. So I appreciate how they went to the other route with a person, a wannabe character who just really just wants to be Darth Vader. He's like, I want to be like my grandpa. I just want to be like this guy. And he's an emotional teenager who just wants to be bad, who just wants to do something. He's been obviously corrupted by Snoke and lured to the dark side, but he really just wants to be like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But he struggles to find himself on his own ground. The struggle is still there. I think
the struggle gets resolved, towards the end when he cuts off
exactly.
parts, and
This is why I love
himself as something different, something out of the convention, that is the dark and the light, the Jedi and the Sith. When he says, "You're still holding on," and you have to break away.
Precisely. This is what I really love, because when he killed Han Solo in the first Star Wars movie,
the fourth house,
he was still conflicted. Yeah, he was still conflicted.
Yep.
And you see that moment where he's about to shoot Leia. And he at the last moment removes the trigger. There is still that light force in him, right?
Yep.
And many people, I myself had the theory that he might be brought to the light side, but I never wanted him to go back to the light side, because after killing Han Solo, I just straight up wanted this guy to die. All right.
Okay.
And just to see this guy build that resolve into coming into his own, fuck Darth Vader, fuck the Sith, fuck the Jedi. Let the past die. We are the future. Just building into that sort of character. Of course, he's still not there yet.
That makes him a badass.
But third movie is
he's still not there yet. That is exactly my point. And I really doubt whether he has it in him to build on himself a saga that can, not surpass Darth Vader, but at least portray himself as something which really is worth going out of the convention of the uber cool Sith and Jedi story.
Exactly. No, so I feel the character in a way is a meta commentary over what the fans expect from a villain. See, he starts off with the Darth Vader mask because fans really just want another Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But he just says, bro, the convention, forget the past. This is a completely new character, and you will have to embrace that, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for this, and I really appreciate, as a person who loves it when a mainstream thing defies expectations as goes into its own route. It's something I really appreciate. And speaking of defying expectations, that is what this whole movie is about, man.
Yeah.
God.
Correct.
Yeah,
but I mean, I get your point entirely. I still believe that Kylo Ren does not have it in him. I hope I get proved wrong in episode 9. Who knows? JJ Abrams, please do something about him. Okay, but
I have high hopes from Kylo Ren.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on. Then where have we ended up with? So you've got then Rose coming into the picture. Rose and Finn, their storyline.
No, see.
Right.
As in typical. See. Exactly. As in typical Star. Sorry, my bad.
Take your time. Typical Star Wars convention.
Just a second. A second.
Okay.
Yeah, could you repeat that? There was a bit of a cut that happened.
Okay, so I was basically talking about Finn and Rose being the next part of the first half, and you were talking
Right.
about typical Star Wars convention.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, the typical Star Wars convention is obviously, if you see in the second movie, the characters are all separated out, and each follows his own arc, right? Even in the
Yep.
original trilogy.
Yep,
right?
yep, correct.
Yeah. Right,
You
and
have-
this is where, yeah, you have Poe doing his own thing. Like he's obviously stressed out because he's been demoted, and you have what was her name? I forgot. I forgot her name. Oh, fuck.
Rose?
Somebody. No. The person who takes in command after Leia is. Oh, we
okay.
forgot. Oh my god, we how did we completely forget the Mary Poppins Leia scene, dude?
Oh my god, dude! That's one way of describing it. That's
I don't know what to think about that scene. to be
no,
honest.
I know exactly
Alright.
what to think about. It was shit, straight up.
And yeah, see, and
My
I laugh
resolve
when
on
that
this
happens.
cannot is unchanging. It is so strong that it was one of the worst things that I've ever seen in the Star Wars saga in my
And I
entire
felt
life.
so terrible. I chuckled a bit. I felt so terrible. That's because Carrie Fisher is no longer with us, and
Yeah,
but
some sort of an internal guilt conflicting your opinion.
yeah, I know, but to think of it, I mean, her whole character. I was sure that they probably wanted her there for the third movie as well.
Obviously.
But right there, when she gets sucked off there into the space, I thought maybe in the edit room it might have been time to remove her. I was so conflicted with the way with how to treat her character, because from a narrative perspective, she does not really do much in the movie.
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Yeah, she probably had a role in the ninth one, but she does not do it here. And I'm thinking, right, maybe it might have been sensible to just edit her out of the movie, because I don't know how they're going to do her justice in ninth movie. They clearly said they're not going to like CGI or somebody else's
Yeah.
face with her thing. So maybe, but then again,
But like just sticking to that moment of Leia,
right.
like okay, yeah, she's got force in her. That's an obvious. But
Right.
this extent, she's in goddamn space, man. She's like, come on, that doesn't make sense.
I know, right?
God.
Like she's frozen all of a sudden. I thought like
Exactly, and her eyes open,
when
her finger starts pointing. It's like there's still a properly constructed
I thought-
idea of what the force means. It is not something that's magic, you know. It is somewhat like the Atman, as we would think in
Yeah.
Hinduism. This is not how the force works. Like that. This reminds me of that scene in the Force Awakens. You know,
to quote Han Solo, that is
Exactly.
not how
To
the
quote Han
force
Solo.
works.
That's not how
Yeah.
the force works, man.
Right, and I thought, what I thought at that moment would be that it would be Leia in her final moments would give some sort of message to Luke.
Oh yeah, that would have been a
I thought that would have-
way to
yeah.
do that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it would have even got a whole tear out of me. Everything, it would have been a very powerful moment.
It would have. Indeed.
Instead, I chuckled and I feel bad about it. All right,
Okay. Yep. So that's
Yeah.
it. Then
we're right.
the Finn and Rose arc. Let's discuss that.
Oh my-
Next up.
Oh god.
Okay. So okay. Firstly, I always thought that Finn and Rey would be the next thing. Okay. Like in
Right.
Force Awakens, and when Finn gets up, first thing he asks is Rey. When even Finn and Rey meet, they're the first people to hug. You know. So there was a
right.
clear idea in me that Finn and Rey are going somewhere. And then
Right.
what you have is this okay, you've got Rose suddenly
Right.
barging into the entire narrative which I had painted in my mind and messing it up for me. Like
Okay.
I like okay, now you have Finn and Rose as a thing, right? You cannot
Right.
break this dichotomy and then suddenly return to Finn and Rey, which was portrayed earlier. And
Oh my god, it is. Are they trying to build a love triangle here?
no, I definitely no. I mean, I'm sure they're not that stupid. Like when it comes to sci-fi films, this is something they should stick out of, quite obviously.
Yeah, but I know. I completely understand what you feel, what you're saying here. The whole Canto scene when they
Yeah.
go to that, I'm completely split about that whole scene. It comes out of nowhere. It first of all, the way it starts, all right, it feels like a mini side quest that happens in video games that you get
Yeah,
this
yeah.
like a hologram by Captain Phasma, like not Phasma, who am I saying? Maz Kanata, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And she just straight up says, "Go find this one guy here. He's a
Yeah.
code breaker. Get him from this."
A
I'm
very
like,
traditional game sense involved
yeah,
in
and
the
I'm
entire
like,
thing.
"Are you serious? Could you get any lazier than that?"
Yeah. That's true. It felt very lazy on the part of story writing.
And it does
seemed
get
too
lazier.
easy and too obvious. And it was too obvious
Yeah.
that they're somehow going to succeed in the end, and like not succeed entirely, but get out of the planet with some like the Masha Codebreaker. In this case, they end up with that guy. I don't remember his name now. Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about this whole thing here, all right?
We'll come to that in the second half, right?
Right.
So
First of all, yeah, go ahead, say what you want.
yeah, so in some few little words to say on the Finn and Rose thing, not very cool, man. Not very cool, right?
There was no chemistry between them either.
Yeah, it was really bland. And then they have this scene where they kiss in the end, in the second half. It just came out of nowhere. It had no
Yeah, even-
foundation whatsoever.
Even Finn was shocked when that happened.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like his
Yeah.
face was saying that at least.
Yeah, at least that's what I caught up with it.
Okay, so they go on the planet. You've got the ships moving ahead, and I think this is not the part where Poe revolts. You have okay. You go back to the island where you've got Mr. Luke and Ray, right?
Right.
So their entire okay. Let's just start talking about the Luke arc. What he's taken right here. This is where we
Right.
end up progressing towards. Okay, so this somewhere gets me to my overall conclusion on the movie. The movie almost definitely was very entertaining. It was very, very, very entertaining. But at the same time, what they did with Luke leaves me it leaves me completely in splits. It is what causes the mixed feelings. It makes me like the Rotten Tomatoes, the user and critic reviews level.
Right. What made you think that? Like, what about Luke's story left you so divided?
The part where he's just this. He's not assertive at all in the entire thing.
Right.
He's very mixed with what
Right.
he's thinking, and he ends up with a very weird way on how he comes off. Like even the part in the second half when after the shooting and all, he uses his hand and scoffs off the damage that was done on him. Remember? Right? That was very not Luke. Udit, can you hear me?
I can. I'm
Ah.
hearing you.
Okay. Right? So that was very not like Luke. Where he's crying, where he's being very grumpy. He's not even being sure about his stance. He's just being grumpy. It comes off like that. What did you think about that?
So again, this is I was really fascinated with the place where they took Luke Skywalker. To say that again, I felt it was a meta narrative because from what I got was that after Luke took down the Empire, he was hailed as a legend, as like probably the greatest Jedi ever, the guy who took down Darth Vader, everything. That is what the world perceived him. But the world did not see what we saw, right? The galaxy did not see that what we saw, right? All he did was he talked to Emperor shocked him a bit, Darth Vader got pissed and threw him down the shaft. Alright?
And he got lucky. There.
Yeah, he pretty much got lucky. He did not defeat the whole empire by himself.
Exactly. That is one
Right?
point that still strikes a discord between me and conventional Star Wars fans, you would say.
Right, but this is what the galaxy sees of him, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's like Luke the legend, and he takes up Leia's nephew.
Yeah.
And a group of students. Everyone, and he fails them drastically.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so just
And he
one
makes-
point
yeah.
regarding the failing thing. Even Yoda, when he failed the Jedi Order, as he said, he went into hibernation. So that part where after the Jedi Master, he basically fails his students and goes into hibernation, that is something that I can understand, given there's some precedence to it. That is in the form of Yoda.
Right.
So even when
Right.
Mark Hamill himself, who criticized the role of Luke, where he says that no, Jedi are people who don't give up. It's objectively wrong.
But yeah, that's been the case almost always, right? Obi-Wan went into hiding after he failed
Exactly.
Anakin.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the only thing I've seen the Jedi do consistently.
Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, fine. He goes into hibernation, but the way he lives in his hibernation is just so not like Luke. This is just some
What?
grumpy old man, as Mark Hamill also puts
Hey,
it. You might as well call
the
him
first-
Jake Skywalker, because he's not my Luke Skywalker. There is a kernel of truth in what he says, man.
A New Hope had him drinking blue milk. He's drinking blue milk in this as well. All right.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god, that scene! I can't remove that scene out
Yeah,
of my
it
head.
was just so stupid, dude. It was just.
And the reaction he gives her after he drinks it, like, yeah, good.
exactly. That's just not Luke. That's just some other guy who's doing it, you know.
But yeah, so again, so coming back to the serious matter, why I really like what this direction. So probably this was him perceived as a guy who could do no wrong, but clearly he failed his duty.
He wronged one.
The Empire came back in the
In the
name
form
of the First Order.
Yep.
Yeah, everything that he protected just came back, and they probably expect him to stop everybody because he's the only Jedi. He can take on everybody, and he's like, "No, I cannot. I cannot go to the First Order and beat everybody. What are you expecting out of me?" And it's a commentary on the fans as well. Luke cannot do that alone, right?
Yeah,
So probably
yeah.
he's told, and he probably also read the text, the ancient texts, and saw what the Jedi themselves did in the prequels. When they found out about Anakin, when they let Palpatine rise, this was the hubris
legacy.
of Jedi that he called. Yeah, the legacy of Jedi. At their best, they let the Empire rise.
Yeah.
So he's
Therefore,
pretty
they
much
must
ashamed of
die.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand why he's jaded and cynical and everything.
Yeah, but like, okay, fine. The way it is portrayed does not really come off as what I would expect it to be.
That is true. I
understand.
agree
Okay,
with
fine. Your entire perspective behind how he ends up there and the subsequent actions that he takes up is completely understandable. I am completely for it. His therefore what? That part of it, when it comes to the acting and how he responds to Rey and the entire thing, and changes his mind at least twice regarding what he wants to do.
Oh my god, it is so that is so weird. The way
It's
yeah, he's like,
weird.
I will train you, then I will not. I will
Yeah.
train you, but then I will
It is
not.
weird, and above weird, it is bad. It's straight up
Yeah.
terrible. Not even bad, terrible. It was. Right.
I mean, like, there's that one moment where he sees that she is going to the dark side, and he just like goes back, but then he comes back the next day, and as though
Yeah.
that was not a big deal. I don't understand that. I really don't.
And then
Yeah.
there's this point where you come to know that he's cut himself out from the force, you know? That should have
Right.
been a much more shocking moment to realize it, and it didn't have any gravity because it just moves into the next situation, which is where he says that Rey has a lot of energy, which he saw before. It didn't scare him before, it does scare him now.
Right.
So,
I-
and even the part where you've come to know that Luke has cut himself from the Force for the last 40 years, and Luke has cut himself from the Force, man. Give it some
I
time
know,
to
right?
sink in.
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to say, another thing that I just got to know, like while we were speaking, he keeps saying that he came on the most unfindable planet so that he could die alone. But that is not what happens in Force Awakens, right? When R2-D2 comes, he gives the hint, basically a map layout, if I'm remembering this right, which Luke himself had provided so that he could be found. Was that not what happened in the Force
I'm not
Awakens?
sure. I think so, though. I think so. Let's go.
Because
on.
how else did Rey find it? Yeah, how else did Rey find it?
Yeah, that does not
he-
plot hole.
Yeah.
Right here.
That's a plot hole. Yeah. I'm like, look, make up your mind. Make up your mind. Kylo is the emo guy here. Like, what the hell?
Very lonely Luke. Another Twitter account you guys should check out.
Yeah. So, but then there are obviously some fan moments that happen that really like get my heart when the moment when Luke meets R2D2.
Yeah,
and
that was pretty nice. Even the part where he shows the Leia's script from A New Hope. That was really nice. That was very sweet. Definitely.
For a brief moment, you see Luke Skywalker from the old trilogy right? With the way he's like, R2 is like,
Even when he says, "Where is Han?" That moment, that was pretty good. That was really good actually.
Right, it was very well handled.
Yeah.
And
exactly. But
what are your thoughts on
regarding when he meets Leia? That was haphazard. That did not come off.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. What are your thoughts on Porgs though?
Those little guys, right?
Right.
Okay, so I have a little more mixed understanding of them. When we think of the entire movie as letting old things die and the new order rise, there should have been a few moments of the old order which should have been preserved and should have been left to die in a much more gracefully, like when they kill off General Akbar. Okay, he was he was very iconic in the Return of the Jedi and the before and Empire Strikes Back.
The whole trilogy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They just killed him off. He had no
off screen. They just say that he's dead. I'm like,
exactly.
Oh God. No, you didn't just do that.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't have done that. So now, keeping that in mind, when we think of the Millennium Falcon as also something which will eventually die off. Yeah. I'm speaking right now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right, okay. Right.
I personally don't want to see the Pogs on the Millennium Falcon. That's my view of it. Like, let the thing die in peace, man. Don't contaminate it, as I would think of it. Let it just be about Chewie, and let it be about Han. Don't let it be about the Pogs. I don't want to see one Porg in the Millennium Falcon in Episode 9. That's my view of that, I think.
I did not care about Pogs at all. I do not know why they were in this movie. I mean, I know why they're in this movie. They're in this movie to sell toys, but why? What did this?
Pogs were, you can say, is like the who was the stupid guy in the prequels, man?
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks of it, like to appeal to the new generation, you know.
Dude, thankfully they did not have their own plot, man.
Exactly, thankful they did not have. Thankful, literally.
Yeah, it could have been so much worse.
Exactly, right? And even in the trailer, when I saw the Porg screaming with Chewie in the Millennium Falcon, I was kind of pissed when they consider themselves thoughtful enough to be able to think of what can be the next future for Millennium Falcon. I did not like that. It did not.
I made a running joke that Porg was Han Solo's reincarnation.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Don't jinx it.
Okay, now the next scene I think was Rey and Finn on Kanto. That was the place it's called.
Rey and Finn. No.
Sorry. Rose and Finn.
Finn and Rose. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that entire idea that these guys are from war, they have made their entire fortune living off traditional, how a movie plays out, you know, traditional human society.
Right.
So that was fine. But again, I think it was overextended. They could have been done with it much faster. It was it was very overextended. Maybe because they wanted to come back to the boy in the end. Maybe they wanted to just give it some more focus.
Definitely.
Probably.
Right.
But still.
And dude, when Maz Kanata said look out for the guy with the red thing, whatever, were you also expecting Lando to show up?
Sort of. It struck to me, but not really. It struck to me.
I mean, if you were going to do that, this would have been the best place to show him.
That was
pretty much seemed like a place where you would.
Now that I think of it, in retrospect, it would have been amazing. So good.
Right, and oh my god, that was a missed opportunity there. This was the closest. Yeah, this was the closest that Star Wars came to a real world. Actually, it felt so out of the place for Star Wars for me, to be honest. And to be honest, I will say I kind of like what they were going with that when they said that the same people, these guys are benefiting whether either people, whichever side fights, these guys are the one who are making money off that. And this was the first time where Star Wars added a little shade of grey to its whole normal like light and dark side. And I found that to be interesting. And
I mean,
I found
that was there in what you can say the A New Hope. What is that, Cantabile? What?
Yeah, the one where all the scumbags happen,
exactly.
right?
Tune which plays. I forgot the name.
Right.
So it could be seen as a spiritual successor to that place, honestly. That is what
it's like the other side, right? It's like the other side. The Canada was it had the lowest scums. This is the one with the white collar scums, if you can say.
That's exactly what it is. Definitely. Right. So
right.
Okay. So final thoughts on the entire that planet scene.
Yes, I really want to like.
However, the guy who they meet, the
Benicio del Toro.
No, the guy who can open the things and he.
That was Benicio del Toro as the
So if he ends up in 9 with something more to do, like he's this guy with no moral compass who just pops into the entire scene. And
he is definitely coming in. He's definitely coming in the 9th movie. You do not. Yeah, tell me.
This entire scene where they elongated the process of them getting this key breaker and moving out of the planet also. If it pays off in these two ways, where first that boy gets the continuation, the small boy, and second the Benicio del Toro guy, he gets a more prominent role, I would say, in 9th. Then I could say that this foundation pays off. Otherwise, you know what I
think. I definitely think this guy is coming back in the 9th movie because you don't have somebody like Benicio del Toro and have him in such a small role.
I see. Yeah.
But what I'm thinking what this was in this movie is the same thing what happened with Thor in Age of Ultron, where he just went into a random thing, and that played off in Thor Ragnarok. I think, remember, that Ryan Johnson is building his own trilogy after this.
Yeah.
Right?
So exactly.
And this felt so out of place. It felt more like it was world building for something else entirely.
Yes,
because
that's true.
You see Benicio del Toro talking about this whole thing about there being no good side. You see the common people really stepping up. You see that Ryan Johnson showing that the force is not in the family. It does not belong to one particular person. It belongs to the common folk. It sort of seems like that whole Canto scene seems like bringing the power and showing the struggle of the normal people, which I think is showing somewhere else. I understand how pivotal that is, and that should not be the worst part in this movie, but it is. It could have been done so much better, right? Something so important, right?
It just seemed somewhere like a filler, but given that it could work as a foundation for the next trilogy and for the universe itself, what Ryan Johnson has in mind. Yeah, it can make sense ahead, but for now, elongated is the word for it.
It is a drag, and those monsters looked so CGI. When I saw them ringing, it took me out of. I did not think it was Star Wars. I was thinking I was watching Fantastic Beasts or something. It didn't feel like Star Wars movie to me at that point.
Yeah. It has always been about the more comically, what you can say, strictly painted facial characters. Star Wars when it comes. It felt like Men in Black, I could say.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
Okay. So this happens. I think we enter second half now, where
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking if you could just remove those 30 minutes and add it to some of the other elements that really needed some addition, like the Luke and Rey's story and the other things, it would have been so much more beneficial.
Yeah, sort of. I guess it really would. But again. It's probably this gamble of a foundation which will pay off later. It's
because this is a long movie. This is a very long Star Wars movie.
Yes, it is. That it is.
Right.
Yeah, hoping for the best here. You can say.
Right. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
The second half now. So where do we enter? You've got the First Order chasing down the final few parts of the rebellion, and you've got Poe's revolt. This is the part where we enter.
Right.
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 So
Right. Yeah. So they get the
so
Rose and
talk
Finn
about
get the code
talk about
breaker.
Poe's arc only, no here.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of people like complain as to why the person in charge didn't just go to Poe and say like, hey, dickhead, we have an actual plan here.
Exactly.
Just shut the hell up. And I was one of those people. But in retrospect, the more I watch, the more I understand. See, what we are seeing here, what we are seeing here is a tunnel vision through Poe's perspective, right?
Yeah, that's
Everything we see through Poe's and we are getting frustrated because she's not revealing her plans to him, and that's the exact reason he's getting frustrated as well. Like, why isn't she like revealing her plans or whatever? Why isn't she telling anything?
Yep.
But you have to understand, Poe fucked up big time.
Yeah, that
in the
is
starting. Yeah, he's demoted. He's like from her. That is all the information this woman has. I'm sorry, I can't figure out her name. This is bad of me.
That's fine.
But that is all the information she has. I think Holdo or whatever that was her name. That is all the information. I'm just gonna call her Holdo because
Okay.
it just seems stupid. That is all the information Holdo has on this guy, right?
Yep.
All she knows is this guy fucked up. He's been demoted.
Yeah.
Why the hell will she reveal? Why the hell can she trust anything to him? I mean,
Yep.
think of that.
Yep. It makes sense.
You had a boss in office, right? Like, probably you, not you. I mean, anybody, like somebody you worked with, who's just a total asshole.
Yep.
And yeah,
Once you take in mind
Right.
the perspectives from which each individual comes into the scene instead of how we see it from an eagle's eye, the sequence makes sense. Right? That's what I want
right,
to get off.
right. However,
Go on.
despite all that, a mutiny is the big deal. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and to have these people just brush it off later on and just be like, okay, yeah, he's a troublesome guy. I like him. It's just weird.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That it is.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. What do you think about this whole scene?
I think it was handled well. First of all, every person's emotions and all were displayed rather clearly. Every person's motive was on the table, and overall, with Leia ending the entire thing, it made sense. Even the using that iconic stun gun, which if you notice, the animation is exactly the same as how it was in A New Hope, right?
Oh yeah. I do.
Yeah, that was kind of a neat end to the entire thing. It left me with a bit of a chuckle.
Yeah.
So overall, yeah, you can say it was a 7 out of 10. The entire thing. It didn't strike out as anything unexpected, given how we anticipated Poe to be the hothead who will end up doing hothead things. Somewhere there was space
Right.
to do better, I would say. Like 5 people doing a mutiny didn't make much sense, given there was an entire staff behind them which reacted as if they were zombies. That didn't make much sense, but yeah, overall, all right. Good progression for the movie as
Right.
it went on. Yeah,
All right, and this is where we also see that Rey and Kylo Ren have sort of developed this weird connection
Oh, yeah,
that's
the connection.
somehow manipulated. Yeah.
so let's start with the connection,
Yeah.
right? The first,
Yeah.
right from the first time when it comes into the play, it was firstly very reminiscent of how Leia finds Luke in The Empire Strikes Back. You know, when hand goes off and he falls down the crevice, and then Leia through the Force navigates to Luke under the spaceship, right? That is the
Right.
precedence
So
from which this entire thing comes off. So
Okay, so it's not something new
yeah,
in the
exactly.
franchise.
It isn't exactly new, obviously. It was the Force
Right.
connecting them, which definitely made sense. And like, their emotions, again, it comes down more to the character development of those two people. Rey, fantastic acting. I think she did a phenomenal job right from the start to the end. Again, my problems end up here in Kylo Ren's basket, you know, when he comes off more as this conflated emo guy. This image of his is very unshakable for me at this point. Right, right from the
Right.
beginning, it even when he comes off without his t-shirt and stuff, his face is just so poignant, stoic, and I don't know, man. I just don't get the vibes whenever he is involved in the scene, other than the lightsaber fights, which we'll get to. But right, during the telepathic conversations, you have Rey, a person who is completely emotionally invested into every scene wherever they meet up with the Force. On the other hand, what you have is just this brick of wall, wall of brick.
I'll have to disagree there. I thought
I thought
Adam
it-
Driver I thought Adam Driver was killing it in every scene. Like the way
Really? Okay, so
yeah,
yeah,
I
you
was
ha-
actually
okay.
very invested. The way I mean, obviously he was not like he again he did not show great range of emotions or whatever, but his dialogues, the way he delivered his dialogue always had certain punch to
his
it. I think
delivery is top notch. I cannot disagree
Yeah.
with that. Even whenever he's
Right.
angry in the part where they're assaulting the rebel base, where he's shouting to his soldiers,
Right.
his delivery is fantastic. Even when he's calling for Rey after the entire lightsaber battle, okay,
right.
delivery
And
fantastic.
and his voice is way too heavy for somebody who looks,
who looks like him?
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
but this, but how he portrays himself, his acting, it's very reminiscent of Anakin's waterless acting,
Oh god, you're
seriously.
really going there.
Yeah, I'm going there, man. I'm going there. It really reminds me of Anakin. I can't help it.
I guess we'll have to disagree there, but
Yep.
okay. But this is also one of the part where I really like, where they show three different perspectives of what happened between Luke and Kylo. Right?
Mm-hmm.
One is the one that Luke says himself that like Kylo just basically lashed out at him.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Oh,
Kylo
yeah.
says like, you don't know the truth. When I woke up, Luke was
the one trying to kill him.
attacking me.
Yep.
Then Luke finally says the truth that he saw that this guy is giving into darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and for a brief moment he just like
Yeah.
removes his lightsaber, and then he realizes what he does, right?
Yep.
And that's what Kylo sees and attacks. It's very interesting, obviously, because it makes sense that everybody sees it in his own way, the whole scene.
Yeah.
But this is where people have a lot of contention, as in Luke being the guy who brought Darth Vader to the light side.
Yeah.
How does he have the one to decide that Kylo Ren will not make it? What do you think about this part?
I can't say for sure, given I don't think we have enough information to talk about it thoroughly. Also, I hope that episode 9 will shed some more light regarding how Snoke approached Kylo Ren and all, and how much control did Snoke really have, to the point where Luke, it is Luke who opens the lightsaber, the guy who could pull Darth Vader, the guy who never loses hope, the guy who is the greatest Jedi. He is compelled to open his lightsaber to try to kill his student. I guess that is
His
where
nephew.
his nephew,
More than his student.
more than his student. Exactly,
Right.
his nephew. I mean, okay, then maybe there's something phenomenally disturbing about about Ben Solo as it is, and his potential with the Force,
Uh-huh.
But
Uh,
yeah, I think that's more of it.
Yeah, but to me, Luke has always been an impulsive guy, from what I remember. To me, even in the old movies, right? In the Empire Strikes Back, especially,
Okay.
he's always been a very reactive person. Like that's what he says, right? Even Yoda says, like, don't just go to the Empire. Darth Vader this is what he wants, and this guy like, no, I'll just go immediately. And
Yep.
even in even in the Return of the Jedi, he gets provoked when Darth Vader basically taunts him that you have a sister. He goes on like, you have a sister. Maybe if you don't go to the dark side, she might. And Luke just snaps and just like straight up goes for him, like, and is almost about to kill him. He forgets that that is his father for a moment. He straight up goes for killing him, cuts off his hand, everything, and then he realizes, oh my god, what have I done, and everything. Right.
Okay. That
And you
makes
see,
sense.
you
That
you
makes sense.
see, you see Luke acting on impulse here as well, right? He's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
to go and burn down the book, ancient text, and in the last moment, he's like, "Yeah, what am I doing?" Like, he's always been like that kind of a person to me.
That
I
makes sense.
suppose.
That makes sense. Definitely. Yeah. I guess
I mean-
I can give into that when like a sudden realization of the dark side, unanticipated levels, like as he says,
Yeah.
right? It was more than he could imagine.
there was always that subtext that Luke might fall to the dark side. That was shown in Empire when he goes to that thing and he fights Darth Vader in that cave, the same way Rey did here, and he sees his own face in Darth Vader's mask. There was always this subtext that he could fall to the dark side, and every now and then he shows that. So I was kind of happy that they actually stuck to that theme here as well.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. I can give that to you. Yep.
No, it could be bad writing again. Anyway, is what I'm saying. But this also leads to one of the greatest scenes where you see Yoda, Puppet Yoda.
Oh yeah, Puppet Yoda. Exactly. It was Puppet
Right.
Yoda. I was so happy when that happened, dude. Like I've always had this problem with the prequels where the Yoda is just not Yoda. You know, he's not the same Yoda whom you see in the swamps in the Empire
Right.
Strikes Back. You know.
He moves like that maniac. He just like walks around,
and
limps
his
around.
laugh, that
Yeah.
that perfect laugh that he has, even in the Return of the even in Empire Strikes Back, when he eats Luke's food and stuff. Right?
Right.
That was so well done.
And that conversation between him and Luke, it was so beautiful. It felt like Luke was a student again.
Yeah, young Skywalker. When he said that was fantastic. That was just icing on the cake,
Young
you know.
Skywalker,
Exactly.
missed you have eyes.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says, man. That was so good.
But then again, this is my problem. Like, how much were the Force ghosts able to interact with the environment around? This guy just sends up a whole lightning and just like
Yeah. So
destroys
what?
things.
Are you like sleeping for the next all the time when the Dark Force is doing shit?
I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
like,
makes me
you
question
might
it.
just be more powerful as a Force ghost. Why don't you just all come and defeat the dark side just like that? I didn't understand. What is this? What is
It's a balance in all things, I suppose, you know.
I guess. But yeah, he gives this very important talk about failure, and I realize that is what the theme of this whole movie is, right? It's all because every character in this thing fails in his task that he's set out to do.
That's true.
Right? If you think about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and Yoda gives this pivotal talk that even our failures are our greatest teachers.
Yep.
Kylo Ren was your failure. Do not let that same thing go to Rey.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was, in that moment, Yoda basically giving the wisdom what this whole movie is about.
Yep. That's true. Point
Right.
taken. Right, so where are we now? We've got your, I think everyone is leaving the transports.
And what is the next scene?
I think we have the amazing moment, right? The point where...
Rose and Finn on the ship now. Rose and Finn on the ship now. Rey going to Kylo Ren.
One second.
No, first, no. Before that, it's Rose and Finn getting caught. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Phasma comes finally.
Phasma comes finally. Yes, exactly. It was such a big disappointment to watch her die, man. Should we talk about Phasma right now? I think she's
go
coming.
ahead.
Right. So, firstly, Phasma, played by Gwendolyn Christine, one of the better actors to have come from the last half of this decade. Who, if you guys have missed, played Brienne of Tarth in
Brienne of Tarth, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So when she was first announced, when I saw her in the trailer, when the toys came out also, I had a lot of expectations from this guy. I from this person as it is, Captain Phasma. You would expect her to take the position of the iconic Boba Fett for this new trilogy. That is who she was going to be the spiritual successor of. Boba Fett's entire persona lay in his mysteriousness. Phasma had some of the same tinge of it, but it was more about the power she commanded among the stormtroopers, her voice, and how she moved around on the base too. I found out to be very...
And her suit.
And her suit, exactly. And her suit, yep.
Right.
So I found her to be very underutilized in The Force Awakens. I expected a great deal of her from The Last Jedi. I mean, given there are so many characters and their developments to be followed, it makes sense that Phasma would be the last among the more iconic characters that were introduced. But still, there is a sense where she was underutilized. I personally wish for more prominence from her. That's all.
Exactly. And unfortunately, she already got overshadowed by the actual Boba Fett of this trilogy, the traitor. The traitor stormtrooper.
Yeah.
God,
that
guy
makes
was
sense.
awesome. Right. No, but the reason is I feel her underutilized is there were so many ways you could go because Finn's story was directly tied to Phasma's,
Yeah,
right?
yep, yep.
Yeah, she worked under
She
him.
even recognizes him the moment she sees him, like FN2187, that's you, bitch.
Right. This was Finn's chance to develop, and there was a lot of ways you could have that conflict go
Yeah.
much deeper, and I just don't think the payoff was.
Yeah,
that.
it just wasn't. Even the way she died, it felt kind of childish, where she was screaming for help, given how, how alpha male she was coming off the entire trilogy.
Right.
She shouldn't have gone wailing when she died.
She did defeat him convincingly,
Yeah.
but I'm like, dude, just look down. You're Phasma. In the books, apparently, she's like the most powerful, like non-force user there is.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
No, that
just
doesn't make
look
sense,
down.
dude. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right, just look down. You at least do a check, man. At least do a face check. Like, at least not face check, but at least look for where you have you defeated him convincingly. It's not hard, but whatever. It was annoying. And then we have the Snoke scene in that whole area, which is very reminiscent of Return of the Jedi when Luke comes to Emperor.
Yep.
But that's about it. It goes completely different from there on out.
After that, it is just a completely different world, right? That is from that point onwards, when Kylo basically throws in the lightsaber in Snoke's stomach. It's from that point on where you have the new Star Wars order coming into place.
Right.
What
are your thoughts on Snoke?
Snoke, I am happy with not having any backstory on him. Honestly, I don't mind.
Great. Because a lot of people are having theories that he's Darth Plagueis, he's this, he's that, he's Jar Jar Binks, and personally, I didn't care for it. I did not care. Right? I did not care for any story of him. I agree with you.
Yep. So, yeah, I think it's fine to let Snoke die that death and to not have a needless backstory, given now we're completely emerging into uncharted territories with the Force, and to consider him as the last of the Sith gurus, who train their apprentices. I think it's alright. I think it's completely fine.
I think what they did with Snoke was perfect. Like,
I wouldn't say perfect. That's going a tad bit too far. A little backstory could have worked, given you cannot just have a complete X figure come in to be so prominent. That is my tiny concession.
That is true.
That is the tiny concession that I have with the entire thing.
That is true. Even in the original trilogy, they didn't have much explanation of the Emperor. That only happened in the prequels. But my angle is not that. The thing is the backstory. The reason is in the Force Awakens, Snoke never came across as an interesting figure to me. He came across as a CGI guy who just is evil for some reason. And the moment I saw him, I was like, Emperor 2.0.
Yeah, he basically was that, given the Force Awakens' entire nature of copying the main trilogy. Not copying, but phantasming it at least. Right? So he basically was the spiritual successor of the Emperor, with him training the new apprentice, Darth Vader 2.0, with his ego side.
So I was...
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, this is what... you're just going to do the same thing that Emperor did right now.
Yeah.
And just getting rid of him immediately was like a whole fresh thing. Because otherwise, there was nothing that he would have done that would have made me separate him from the Emperor.
Exactly.
So I'm like,
exactly.
Right.
That's exactly the point.
Right.
They are very well aware of them not trying to surpass the expectations set by the main trilogy, and in working inside their degree of competence with what they can achieve with the new trilogy, Snoke was handled really well.
Right. And what follows after that is, I think, like one of the best fight scenes in Star Wars.
Yeah, okay, so now we have the lightsaber duel. Duels, not duel. It's a
Not
fight.
duel.
It's a
Its
fight.
lightsaber was. This is where things are interesting because you only saw swords, laser swords as lightsabers till now,
Yeah.
and these guys were like, well, we are
Disney,
inspired by
man.
samurai
It's
movies.
Disney.
Yeah, we're inspired by samurai movies. So why not have other samurai weapons as well in other martial arts movies?
Yeah.
And have them in their own version of lightsabers.
The maximum level of creativity we ever got to see with lightsabers was 4 lightsabers in the form of General Grievous. Right.
Right.
This just took an
Right.
entire new dimension. So that was really
Right.
nice to see. I think it was sort of expected given Disney and toys.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a really good thing. But however, like this precedence was already set in The Force Awakens, what I'm going to talk about. The fact that the prequels and the main trilogy have a very different idea of what it means to have a lightsaber duel or a fight. Prequels
Right.
were all about really fast action, as you would see in Darth
and
Maul.
and a lot of jumping.
And a lot of jumping. Yeah, I personally liked that about the prequels,
Right.
and I was hoping that the new trilogy will have the same idea of what it means to be a lightsaber battle, because somewhere I would say George Lucas also would have liked to have Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker fight off much more faster than they did in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi,
Oh, there was no choreography in the old
Yeah,
trilogy. There was no choreography
Exactly.
in the old
So
trilogy.
somewhere in trying to stick to the remains of the old trilogy and stick to slow sword fighting, I think that is a missed opportunity, man.
No, for me it felt it. For me, it didn't seem any similar. I didn't think it was actually harkening back to the old trilogy. How well, it felt more of a homage to the samurai movies or the Eastern movies that the original trilogy too was inspired from. And the anime movies and all, because it felt gritty. It felt like an actual samurai fight there. Right. So that is what I got out of it. Right. Yeah. So it was less about choreography, but more of an actual proper duel between two people that could happen. Probably. I don't know. I've never seen a samurai fight happen in real life, so I don't know. I'm not the one to judge. But yeah, that's what I got of it. But before what I really liked about it is good to have a cool fight. It is much more when there are huge emotional stakes behind fight, man. And this one had
it
it,
was
man.
fantastic, dude. The moment
Right.
where we understand that Kylo Ren kills Snoke, and then they both just turn, and for the next 3 seconds, you've got the slow motion with the 3 people coming from here, 3 people coming
Right,
from here.
right.
Rey on one side, Kylo Ren on one side. It was fabulous.
And
those
and-
few moments
and-
are
yeah.
fabulous, man.
And then yes, you get this crazy ways she fights, and then she throws the lightsaber to him.
Oh yeah,
And he just better than great punches a hole through that guy and
Yeah.
and just.
That was all
but
done.
then-
That was all done. Well,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then you have you probably think that Rey is this guy's turned to the light side, but he's nope, let's just burn it all.
Oh yeah.
By the way, fun fact: not only was Snoke's thing cut in half, but his hand was also cut into separate piece. So Star Wars sticking to the tradition of cutting hands.
Okay, that's a new quirk I came to know now. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So after this, what you have is basically where we'll end up discussing about the entire saga as it is, where it is proceeding. You have Kylo Ren approaching the throne, and you've got Rey saying, "Please don't do this, Ben." So
Right.
and from here you get this is the point where all the theories come true of Star Wars taking a completely new direction, of the Sith and the
Right.
Jedi orders dying. So
Right.
let's just enter this discussion now itself, right?
Right.
So you've got Kylo Ren on one side, who will field up a new order and a new order to the galaxy. That is all he aims for. While Rey has a very traditionalist thinking of what it comes to controlling power, and I would say inheriting a legacy of what the Jedi would leave if they could conceive a much better order. Right?
Right.
That's how I think of it. What about you?
That's a very right thing to think about. Obviously, because they come from two. At this point, you really see each character coming into their own, right?
Oh yeah,
Kylo
that's
Ren
exactly
finally
what
throwing
it is.
everything behind. Kylo Ren completely throwing what is behind, no longer caring about becoming the next Darth Vader, just throw things into complete chaos because obviously it was not the part about there being one Sith and one student was not something that started it. Some guy started that. It was, I don't know, it was in the expanded universe. It was some person starting that. It wasn't something that was set in stone the moment the Force started. So it's like, let it all burn. Why not? Why not? Question everything, right? And
this Kylo Ren 2.2 that emerges from here, I can definitely give him much more higher rating than what we got to see Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens until that point. This is the part where his assertiveness really comes into force, where he takes matters into his own hands, you know. Even when Hux, he just gets him on his knees the first time in the iconic Darth Vader style. I don't mind that. I think that was alright. Okay?
To me, continue.
And even when Hux again challenges his authority in the sense of him deciding to go down to meet Luke, and then he just pushes him away, right? So I think this is the new Kylo Ren that we get to see from this point was he was an 8 out of 10. I can say that compared to an earlier 3
he's getting there. I could always see. To me, I always thought this was the arc. Like probably
this is where his natural succession would end, and it ended really well. Is what I can say.
Right. And then we go about all the theories about Rey's parents thrown in the dustbin.
Exactly. that just gives into the idea of how much unexpected territory Rian Johnson ventured into, and ventured really well also, as we would agree on.
Right. What do you think about the whole reveal?
I mean, there was this moment when Daisy says that it was obvious in The Force Awakens who her parents are. I got this intuition that just maybe they go for a complete abstraction, completely out of the entire Skywalker dilemma of being the one with the Force. But like, this is a point where you really have to think whether are you happy with Star Wars, the new trilogy, completely breaking away from the formal trilogies and setting uncharted territory or no. And in this, I give Rian Johnson full marks, nothing short of it, for doing what he has done. Definitely, like, I have no doubts in this whatsoever. The point that he's taken with Rey, the point he's going to take forward, moving out of the dichotomy of the Sith and the Jedi, getting a new direction, fantastic. I love the entire thing.
And I really enjoyed it as well. I thought her parents having no significance was amazing.
Amazing, exactly. It was amazing.
Right, because again, it takes back to the point that, of course, George Lucas wanted it to be a whole thing to keep it in the family. But then again, we moved past that. Everybody, the way people see movies has completely changed.
Yep.
Now people want more relatable figures. People want that story about the underdog going and taking it up against the authority and everything. In that way, Rey, being an absolute nobody, completely falls in line with that. And it's funny, now it is the Skywalker line that is the one that is obviously it was always that, but it is the Skywalker line that is the final threat at the end. Right.
Yeah,
it is the normal one.
I haven't thought of it that way, actually. It is now the Skywalker blood which is going to see the other side of the Force compared to what we've been accustomed to. Yeah, that's a very interesting way to think of it, actually.
Right. So it's basically the normal guys going up against the Skywalker. Yeah. So
that's going to be phenomenal. Once you think of it that way, it just gets so exciting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then there's that scene where they both like use the Force pull and they're getting that the Anakin's that is Anakin's lightsaber, right?
Yep, that's
it. It's Anakin's lightsaber, and then you have these montages. You have these quick cuts. You go to Finn, where he has this laser thing about to cut his head off. Then you see Holdo, probably Holdo. I hope that is what they
getting into light speed.
Holdo right speed, and all of this happens, and then the music cuts off. Then
that phenomenal moment. That moment, you know, if you just go to meet anyone who saw the Last Jedi and just say, "Did you like that moment?" It will be so clear of what we are talking about. So
I know, right? That was such a great build-up.
Full marks.
That happens.
Your voice is cracking. Can you hear me?
Finn and Rose. Anakin's lightsaber. Yeah. Finn
Your voice is cracking.
and somehow lights. Is it audible now?
Yeah, it's working now. Go on.
Did that out.
Yeah.
Anakin's lightsaber cracks in half, like breaks in half. Yeah, Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, like fuck it, it's gone in half.
Yeah.
And then you see, obviously, you see the small amount of rebels going down to that planet. I forgot the name of the planet. The one with the white thing over the red salt.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is where everything comes together.
Yep.
You take us to this moment. I think that's too much for me to do.
I don't know, man. Like, firstly, the entire idea of Anakin's lightsaber breaking, it's as symbolic as it gets, of letting old things die, right? And then her spaceship cutting through the light, blasting off. Oh my god! Like, I'm also overwhelmed. I think we can move on. Yeah. So, where are we left with now? So, I think we've discussed the majority of the film. Yeah.
We have not yet discussed the part when Luke comes back. We have not discussed the. We have not discussed so much of. We have not discussed the main part, dude.
Okay, fine. Take us there then.
This is a long movie and a lot happens, man.
Yeah, that's true. Take us there.
Right.
So.
Okay, so now we finally have. Now it is like gone. Now this is what it reminds me of. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where you basically have these guys all cornered up to one side, and these guys are getting the
this has precedence.
First Order is coming with the battering ram.
Yeah, battering ram cannon, as they called it.
Yeah, the battering ram cannon, and now Kylo Ren is in full
authority.
Demand, like he's the authority.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even the part where Hux says, "Long live the supreme leader is dead. Long live the supreme leader." I thought that was really nice. Good touch to the entire thing.
Yeah. And then you have these guys like going towards into a mission which they know they're going to lose towards the battering ram, and you see finally Poe completely developing into his full character. He retreats. He's like, "This is not going to happen." And Finn is the one who's like, "I'm going to go. I'm going to stop." And you think there's going to be a really powerful sacrifice.
Exactly, and he should have died there. He should have died there. I mean, I cannot stress this point more. Even like. I get that Luke dies in this movie, so there's that one death that we have to contend for. But in the Return of the Jedi, George Lucas argues that it would have been better for Han Solo to die in the Return of the Jedi because it lacked some kind of girth. But they didn't kill him off for the toys. That this is something he had explicitly said some time back.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, I understand that Finn doesn't die. Why does he not die? For his and Rose's arc? Is that even worth it? It's not. It's so obviously not.
And they have that kiss in the
dialogues,
battering ram.
Dialogues. How are we going to win by protecting the ones we love, not by killing the ones we hate, right?
There's that battering ram just coming behind from them, and it's
that was just downright terrible. I mean, somewhere I thought they could surpass the ending of Rogue One, which was brilliant. You remember on the beach where you've got these two people?
Right.
That was phenomenal. I mean, did they try to surpass that? That was utter stupidity what they did there. Straight up utter stupidity.
And then I don't even know how they got back to the base. They just drag each other out while there was this huge thing happening. Go to the corner. I'm like, sorry, excuse me, just going back. It's just weird. But whatever.
That didn't make sense at all.
Anyway, so now we know that clearly these guys are outnumbered. They don't know what to do. The First Order clearly has them cornered.
Yeah, and
then Luke comes. Yeah, Luke comes.
Skywalker.
He looks a bit different. He looks a bit different. He has the beard is darker. Looks younger. He has that moment with Leia where he gives her the dice. I don't know what's the deal with the dice.
I don't know either. I probably should be. I mean, it should make some sense.
Yeah. Maybe they'll explain in the Han Solo movie that they're making that nobody cares
Oh
about.
yeah,
Right.
that's
Probably.
true. Okay,
Yeah.
so
But,
I personally didn't like the way Luke entered. It was like even Leia, she gives her over dramatic speech, melodramatic, of how the last spark in the galaxy has faded, and then suddenly she says Luke. I think that was just subpar, straight up subpar. It could have,
that was a bit too tacky.
yeah, it was very tacky, I would say. I mean,
But
see,
then
like the
I
movie is very like a mountain and a valley. You've just got very good moments and very bad moments. The middle ground is for
true.
very few scenes, I would say. So this was one of those
I-
valleys. It just wasn't good. And then even that Luke who comes there isn't Luke. Like as I said earlier, where he scuffs off the damage with his hand over his shoulder. That's not what Luke would do. That's just not what he would do.
That right there is Mark Hamill. He's not Luke.
Yeah, I'm like, is he starting to act like the Joker now, overconfident a little? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But I like the part where Leia just admits that even though she's heartbroken, she says, "Yeah, my son is gone."
Sort of. Yeah, that's true.
Right. And then you have Luke. He basically winks at C-3PO. Probably the only guy in the whole universe who's nice to C-3PO. And
Even that wing didn't really feel like Luke, I mean, can you imagine Luke from Return of the Jedi? Or just get his image and imagine him winking. I don't. It just doesn't fit in his character. This Luke is just someone else, right?
Right, I guess, but yeah, that's been people change in 30 years. I don't know, man.
I don't know. Yeah, even I would leave it at I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you have the sequence where okay. So I think we did talk about the Luke arc. So let's not get into needless.
Okay. So then he walks into the scene, and it is beautiful. You see Luke from the back.
Your voice.
And there's this.
Go on. Hello.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your voice was cutting as well, so I just stopped for a moment.
Okay. Okay. So you have this beautiful scene where you were saying.
Soham?
Yeah. I'm speaking. Can you not hear me? Hello.
Yeah. Just breathe.
Hello.
Yeah, no, it was like my net crashed, and all of a sudden 10 different voices of yours, I got 10 different dialects of yours coming to my head at the same time. It's okay, that can be edited out, don't worry. But
okay.
Yeah, so what were you saying?
So actually, okay, so then you have got Luke walking onto the battlefield, you have the people shooting, you have him coming out unfazed. Okay, that was kind of cool. Then you have him. This is the part where Kylo Ren pushes Hux and takes the decision of meeting him.
Wait! Don't just gloss over the part where everybody was shooting at him and he just.
I don't know. There's not much to say there. I didn't.
But did I not very cool. Scare you? Like, how the fuck can the Jedi just? I'm like, you should have been toast. Like, how did you just manage to just?
I honestly didn't have these thoughts in my mind. I was just too eager to know what happens in the future, I suppose. But okay, yeah, it can cross your mind. I understand that. But I don't know. Like if you want me to rate that entire scene, it didn't make much sense in that moment. It makes sense afterwards.
Right.
So I'm not sure what I can add up to the point in terms of description. If you have anything to say, go on.
Okay. No, I mean I was just like, okay, fine. He does not have a single scratch on him. I mean he looks way too good. At least some part of cloth should have been tattered. What is happening? What is happening here?
It leaves you with that question mark, I suppose, right?
Yeah, and this is where I have to give credit to Ryan Johnson for choosing that location with the white snow with the red salt because it plays so much significance in the whole way, in the way direction.
Yeah. It just adds a lot to the aesthetics of the scene. That's true.
Right. And then Kylo Ren comes down and they have that duel, and when Kylo Ren is like, are you trying to like feel sorry and stuff like that? And Luke is like, no, I'm not here to save you, fuck off. And they have a fight. And the interesting part is they do not clash their lightsabers
not even once
during the whole
Luke just zips the under him and shit like that. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, and the interesting part is when Kylo Ren like moves around, his leg like scrapes through the salt.
Yeah,
you can see that.
That was really
when
nice.
Luke does it, nothing, right? Right. And then you give him, and then you realize like.
So this point, at this point, you have Kylo saying many things, and at the end he says, "And you will be the last Jedi," right? Like the rebellion is dead.
Exactly, the rebellion is dead.
Yeah,
everything is happening. All your hope is gone. You will be the last Jedi. Right?
And at this point, this is the more interesting part of the movie. I would say this is what really piqued my interest. So first he says the rebellion is born today, and then you've got Rey pulling out the stones, right?
No. He said rebellion is born today. You see Poe like telling them that like, we probably have
their
to escape,
faces lighting up. No.
Yeah, the war.
This is the point where their face lights up, and then you've got Finn's face light up.
Yeah, like the war has just begun. Then you see Finn's face light up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they say,
and he says, "And I will not be the last Jedi." And then you have the camera immediately shifting to Rey's face. Correct.
Right.
So this is the point where the movie gets very interesting, because like from the point where Anakin's lightsaber breaks off, and you have the understanding that they're going to jump out into uncharted waters in terms of the Force. But then at this point, when he says that I will not be the last Jedi, and the camera turns to Rey, what is it that they're signaling for the future? This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Well, they're signaling that the Jedi, like...
I mean, should we take this point lightly in comparison to the entire idea where we are actually going to not have any Jedi and Sith? Or is it going to be Rey who just continues to become another Jedi?
I think, there will be a Jedi. The thing will go on, but the concept of Jedi will be greatly altered. Because when Luke trains Rey, I don't know how he glossed over, but he gives her a whole different... approach to what the Force is.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Right. So probably
a Jedi of a different breed, you could say, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what it means. So
so then the next moment,
and
you understand that he's coming from the Force. That's kind of really nice. Good idea.
Right. And he just said, and then he taunts. He gives these two dialogues which are very reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Han Solo. He gives this, "Strike me down and I will always be with you," which is what Obi-Wan said to Darth Vader.
Anakin, yeah.
Right? Yeah, and then the second one, "See you around, kid," which is what Han Solo said to Luke back in Empire Strikes Back.
Yep.
And then you have this payoff where then you have Kylo Ren just putting his lightsaber through Luke, and it just gets straight to him. And then you see like what is happening. You see Luke is back on that planet. He's just been meditating. He was doing a Force projection.
Yeah.
That was
really nice.
That got a fuck yeah moment, man.
That's true. Full marks for that idea.
He buys enough time for these guys to escape.
Yeah. Really well done.
He buys enough time for these guys to escape. He does what no other Jedi could have done. And he obviously exerts himself, and then you see this crazy scene with the two suns, which is very reminiscent of
That was so poetic, dude. That was so poetic. I cannot tell you how happy I was
when disappears.
When I was, when it was a two suns background on which he fades away. That was fantastic. Oh God.
I mean, it was like I was not even mad that Luke passed away, because it just seemed like such a peaceful, like as they say, the peaceful moment. If there was a way to send off a iconic character, that was probably it.
That was it, man. That was it.
Right. Yeah. And the payoff was so satisfying. That was when I was like, I'm on board. Then they have it on everybody's on the Millennium Falcon. They all say that this is the only rebellion left. Right? But it is not. You see the kid on Canto, he has a rebellion.
Oh yeah, man. I'm so excited for it. Let's just jump onto the kid then. I think we're done with the movie. Is it?
Yeah, we are done with the movie.
Yep. Okay. So then, last moment, you have the kid coming out, and there is this one fantastic moment. Just when you think that you've seen everything, this kid pulls his broom with the Force, and you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, there are Force sensitive people in the galaxy.
Yeah. So like the kid gave a very feeling of a Phantom Menace is Anakin,
Right. Yeah.
So that was pretty nice. Obviously, that was not just nice. That was pretty amazing, I would say. And that just establishes the entire direction, right? It just establishes it. Like, you're set.
So the whole thing about Anakin again, this is very reminiscent. I agree with you there, because Anakin too was on a poor planet and he was there in certain races and he was being used basically as a slave. And you have this thing coming full circle where these all characters were again used as child slaves by these rich people.
This is that entire coming to home story.
That I really like, and what it bodes for, I think what will play out in Rand Johnson's trilogy is what I don't think we will see it in the next movie, but I think this will play out a bigger role in Rand Johnson's 3 movies that he has planned out.
Yep.
And so my final thoughts again, this movie has divided
fans a lot. I think this is the most divisive Star Wars movie ever made. I think on Phantom Menace you still had this consensus that it was terrible, but with The Last Jedi it is not like that. It is just not like that. You have fans who are loving it, you have fans who are hating it, and you have people like me, I would say, who are completely mixed.
Right. So, but what I'd say is, when George Lucas told about Star Wars in the documentaries when I followed, he said that he always saw Star Wars as a poetry, right? Everything speaking as a poem. And the thing about poetry, which goes to music as well, it probably is me overextending it, is like you always search for rhymes and it always gives you this, coherent, comfortable feeling, right? Mix up some of the lines in middle, right? Certain things want rhyme. Sometimes the rhyme scheme is broken. Sometimes something is shorter, and it gives you this sort of disconnected feeling, this sort of dissatisfaction, and you're like, oh, I need that rhyme again. I need something to balance it again, right? And then they go back to the same rhyming screen, and you're like, they're back to normal. I feel The Last Jedi is that thing in middle, right? And to give it it is that middle that gives you the tension, that gives you all of this this need for a resolution, right?
Yep. And that's true.
That is exactly what I think a middle movie should do, because it leaves so many opportunities for the 9th movie to just tie the knots. And I believe the resolution of the 9th movie will immediately make this one settle out as well. And so, but the best part is, I have no idea what is going to happen in the 9th movie.
Exactly. Like when The Force Awakens, even at interval, you had a very good understanding of how the movie is going to end, with The Force Awakens.
Right.
You very well knew that Rey is going to end up finding Luke, and they are going to have, and like they'll basically end up exactly where they want to end. With The Last Jedi, I cannot say that for anyone right now. I have no idea where Kylo Ren is going to be. I have no idea where Rey is going to be. I have no idea how Leia is going to proceed with these guys. What are they going to do ahead? They are all on the Millennium Falcon. What next? Nobody responded to the call. What are they going to do? I have no idea, and that is so exciting.
Especially for a 40-year-old franchise that
Exactly.
One of the most mainstream, one of the most popular franchises, to still surprise you in such a way.
Exactly.
I am totally on board with that.
Yeah, man. Full marks to Rand Johnson for venturing into this.
He took a lot of risks. Some of them did not pay off.
Yep.
So, but that's the thing about risks. More often than not, it will not pay off, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, if J.J. Abrams did the work of rejuvenating the spark that was between lost Star Wars fans, Rand Johnson is going to be the guy who's going to continue that spark, He's going to play the work of that catalyst, what I would say, for the new generation as well as the old.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to end this.
And that's all I wanted to add, man. I am super excited for the last movie. I am completely going on a blackout. Nothing, no theories, just straight up 2019.
Yeah, I'm more excited for 9th movie than I expected myself to be, This is the part that strikes out for me.
Which is funny considering it was such a mixed movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, so I guess that's it from us here at AcidCast.
Right.
Regarding Star Wars.
Let us know what you guys think about the movie.
Yep, let us know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. We could use a lot of that.
Yeah, and if you guys want us to spoil more movies for you like this, just let us know. All
Yeah,
right?
man.
Have a great time. Have a good Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and a Happy New Year. Take care.